Welcome in, welcome in, welcome once again to the newest edition of 3 In, 3 Out, the most unique Seahawks recap show in the multiverse. I'm your host, Clinton Bonner. I am joined by the one, the only, the great Brandon Schultz. And Brandon, as you can tell, I have no voice. Brandon, you probably know why I have no voice. We win in overtime. It was a lot of fun, and yet I have zero voice. Tell the people, help me out. I got to tag you in early, bud. Why am I struggling?
You are struggling because we were live at the game in Boston, in Foxborough, watching our Seahawks get the overtime win. And, maybe if it wasn't for all the not so much yelling during the game, because you did a little bit of that, but I felt like maybe talking over generators to people around the buses, that may have had something to do with it too.
Oh, the man who talks, they call me. So we had a great time. I might be struggling a bit, as you can tell. I've got tea. Not sure it's helping or hurting. Doesn't seem to be helping. But the good news is, Brandon, I'm going to tag you in quite a bit here. In the parking lot, we hit a milestone. What did we hit? And share it with the good people.
4,500 subscribers out on YouTube, but now we are en route to 5,000. So if you are new to the channel, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, help us get up all the way to 5K.
Yeah, we are on our way to 5K. It was cool. We celebrated the 4,500 milestone in the parking lot with some great flockers, new flockers that had these amazing outfits on, little, what do they call it? Suspenders, those thingies, like the German people with the big beards, right? Tons of fun. And beyond that too, Brandon, let me show this as well. So what I did, Brandon, is let me get the brand off the screen for a second there. One segundo. You got it. Perfect. So what I did out on YouTube, which is actually a really, really cool channel for talking to people, kind of like another Facebook, if you will, but like YouTube's got a whole new posting platform that's kind of great. So I created 2 thumbnails and I put them out there and put it to the vote. So the good people, as you can see, by a tally of about 2-1, like the one on the bottom right. So Geno, genius at Gillette, bottom right. That's our thumbnail. But I like the top one too. And shout out to Dan Viennes who said he liked the top left one out on Twitter. Appreciate that, Dan, from the Seahawks Forever podcast. So we get one more day of that same picture, Brandon, as part of the Geno thumbnail. But I think the entire week of us having that Geno image maybe was good karma after all. What do you think, dude?
It is all Geno all week. It is all Ryan 911 with the live executive producer Super Chat 999 in the Flockers for bringing the noise and the vibes to the Northeast.
That is awesome, Ryan. You're the best, dude. Thank you so much for doing that every single time. We really appreciate it. And we met a bunch of other Flockers along the way. This was from the Boston Seahawk fans Facebook group. So anybody in the New England area, I would go to that group, led by an awesome woman named Brina. She was great. Brandon, any takeaways from the Boston folks, the quesadillas, whatever it might be that stuck with you? Why don't you share?
The quesadillas stuck with me a little bit, but those were also good. Yeah, just a fun time. Great time meeting up too at the Yard House the night before.
Yeah,
and seeing all the folks there, and yeah, quite a few folks. And we were able to watch a little college football, hang out, have some grub. And yeah, just have a good time with Seahawks fans. Met Tyler just in the elevator of our hotel, and we recruited him just to follow us to the bar. And yeah, it was fun. We got to meet just new random people.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun. I threw some in here as well. Top left, you got the picture with Wilson, of course. He joined up. He joined us. He drove up from Princeton, where he goes to college. He, of course, is on PNW Prop Stars with us. So it was us foursome. Mr. Phil could not make it, but we missed having Mr. Phil out there too. And then we had Ryan Bowen, who is dressed as like the ultimate warrior, Seahawk there. Met him in the parking lot, and he's been a longtime flocker. And any others that come to mind for you, Brandon?
Oh gosh, well, we saw Gary Blum out there.
We saw Gary.
Yeah, you mentioned Ryan. Yeah, Marcus was there the night before. We didn't get to see him on game day. Hey, look at that. We got Casey Hawk there in the picture with his family, and yeah, just and then Mr. Love there.
Yeah. And in the Action Green 12 was a gentleman named Andy. He was also a fan. What was super cool for me was I'll talk to a wall. So if I'm online or whatever it might be, or just hanging out at Gillette, I'm passing out the cards, and more than a handful of time, people are like, "Oh my gosh, I know you. I know that voice," when I had a voice, and lots of embraces, and that's how Andy ended up in that picture, and Casey Hawk at center there. And yeah, after after the game, I walk up to that gentleman on the right hand side of the screen, and I'm like, "Hey, you might love this podcast." And I was like, "Is that a Julian Love jersey?" And he goes, "Yeah, that's my son." And we embraced. We talked about Giants, talked about Notre Dame and his beginnings, and he was really proud that his son got the big field goal block. And he took the photo with Adam and I, and of course, we had to share that with y'all too. So a ton of fun. So Brandon, I'm obviously all mixed up. I'm lacking sleep. Had to drive home today. You had to fly home today. I have no voice. I know there's something I have to remember, Brandon. I can't remember it. You need to help me. What is it that I have to remember, please?
Well, sometimes we need a little help from the chat. And I think what you really need to know is that from Smokehawk, honey coats, lemon heels. That sounds like the biggest need for you right now. But I guess if you're speaking just in terms of rules for the show, it is when we win, we start with an N.
Yes, we start with an in. Of course we do. I appreciate the tips. I've got the tea. I'll pour some honey in it later. Maybe some honeycombs. In fact, maybe a little midnight snack is in order on the East Coast. Let's get to that first in. So my voice kind of lasts. I know there's a whammy. I know it's there somewhere. Please hit it. Let's rock and roll.
I was going to ask you, did the whammy go in your bag? Did you? I know I thought I brought it with me. Did we swap bags? Do you have the whammy?
I don't have the whammy today. God willing, you do.
Oh,
God willing.
Oh, geez. Oh, it was right here the whole time.
The entire time. All right. Perfection. All right. So we are on to in number one. And for folks that may not know, 3 in, 3 out, we're not going to go over the macro things. We're going to look at the micro moments and some of the things behind the things. Because at this point, it's Monday. We've already probably watched the game again. We've listened to different podcasts, including the instant reaction last night from the hotel with Brandon and Adam. And, what's left to be said about the big things. We want to dive into the smaller things. So we're going to start right here. So, Brandon, did you get a chance to rewatch the game on the flight home?
I watched bits and pieces. I did not get to watch the full thing.
Okay. So Mafe is the dude circled here. And if I were to tell you that on this play, does he look single teamed or double teamed to you at this current moment?
I couldn't even tell you if that were Mafe because he is so double teamed at this moment that his number is not legible.
Exactly. You can't even, he's just swallowed up by a sea of giant Patriot humans, which I think is Michael Jordan, and the left tackle, who I believe it's Lowe. I think it's with a V with the first name, but like Lowe, Lowe. And
it's not important.
So
nobody cares.
The nice part is that Lowe's about to get burnt. So Mafe, why I bring him up too, this is the third play of the game. So first 3 and out. He ends up with the sack here, which we see him chasing down Brissett, who proved to be quite wily. But Mafe was everywhere again. He had that one missed tackle, and I'm going to forgive him for that. That's okay. Super disruptive. On that play, he is body pressing Lowe while he's being double teamed, and he pushes Lowe off to get separation. And then Michael Jordan kind of chips Mafe, and actually kind of nudges him outside and around the tackle. But dude, he's being double teamed, and he's full on sledding the left tackle to create separation to then get around and get a pursuit sack. Great coverage, awesome pursuit. He almost had like 2 or 3 other sacks. Mafe, 2 sacks, 2 games. He's it, man. He is legit. When we pair that back with Nwosu pretty soon, Brandon, I'm feeling pretty good about this front four. How about you?
Yeah, it almost feels like, based on his stat sheet, he should have had an even bigger day. And he had the opportunity. He had one slip through his fingers. He had 1 missed tackle on the day, but he led the team with 6 total pressures. He got the sack. He got 4 quarterback hurries, which also led the team, and he got 3 stops on the day.
He did. He had a great day. And I love Ganos needs subtitles. Yeah, I do. That's hilarious, man. So hopefully it's not too bad. hopefully it clears up pretty quick. But I was talking, to everybody, every single 12 that I saw there, which is kind of what I do. All right, so that's our first in. We got 5 more to get to, plus other stuff. Let's hit that whammy. Let's keep on marching. Oh yeah, I forgot this part. I slid this in. So for those that may not know, we have the show PNW Prop Stars, which airs on Saturday mornings. And my my first bet was Mafe for a quarter sack, so half sacking up. I cashed it. Would have been better earlier, but that's okay. We're on to out one. All right. Pretty
What do you
imbalanced.
suppose the over-under is that your voice makes it the next 20 minutes? Like, is that I give it 18 and a half minutes.
I think it's already shot, right? It's already gone. So my dad would always say, like, if you're caught in a rainstorm, he's like, you can only get so wet, right? So that's it. That's, I'm not going to injure it further at this point. I'm not screaming. It is what it is. And I'll just muck my way through the work week. It's okay. All right. So out number one, it's never always roses, unless of course we get a shutout. We did not get that shutout here. We're going to pull this up in a second. 1st and 10. It's New England at Seattle's 43-yard line, about 8:24 to go in the first quarter. And Brissett's under center. It's a little play action to Stevenson. And what happens here is sitting next to Adam at a game, it's interesting. He's pretty observant. He really picks up, frankly, he picks up more than I do live. And he sees things faster than I do live. And at this very play, got Spoon and Tariq, both corner blitzing. So they actually are blitzing. So they got 6 guys coming. Patriots, if you look at screen 1, top left, you're like, oh my God, it's about to be a sack. And it's not. They actually pick it up. So Stevenson kicks his guy out, and the guard pulling or the tight end pulling kicks out Tariq. They do pretty well there. What happens is, as you can see it progressing, I'll save a little time. Baker gets sucked in, and it's just like kind of the wrong call from, I think, his standpoint, because he's got to know they're blitzing. First and foremost, he's blitzing. And it was very, very clear that Mafe, it may not look it there, Brissett's not that fast. Like, Mafe actually has a really good angle to the short side of the field. He's not getting by Mafe at all. He might be, a loss of a yard, a gain of a yard. You can see the blue line, of course, at the line of scrimmage. What ends up happening is Baker gets sucked in. Hunter Henry goes for, one of his first of like 9 or 10 receptions, and it's a big gain. And Adam in real time he's like, oh, geez, Baker. He's like, you took the bait. And I was like, damn. And when I saw it back, I was like, he saw that live. We had a good angle at it, of course. Brandon, wondering if you saw this one live as Adam did.
Yeah, it was, especially with that pursuit. Now, I don't think I saw this angle that Mafe was coming in at, but I did see Woolen whiff on. He just over pursued and coming in hot. He's got to slow down a little bit, not get too excited, especially when he comes in unblocked, and he does have so much speed. So it is tough for him. But yeah, I know a lot of us at the time were asking, how does Hunter Henry have this big of a day against our guys? And this kicked it out, it helped kick it off right here with Baker and not covering Henry. And it is tough once they're outside the pocket. But yeah, you got to hang back there. You got to make sure those guys are covered. And he ends up having a big day. This play being one of the big ones.
And a really big half. And there was, to, I think, our team's credit, a lot of adjustments, really big adjustments. And he was pretty much shut down in the second half. But in the first half, he was just under 100 yards. And like you said, this got a kick-started. Last week, I was like, oh man, the O-line was kind of disappointing. This week, I think our linebackers got exposed a little bit. This is just one play by Baker. He played well at other moments. Dotson, similarly, moments of good, moments of being washed out and not in position. And we're going to save Tyrese for a little bit later as well. But it kind of flip-flopped. Last week it was like O-line was more worrisome. This week they battened down a little more. Linebackers a bit more exposed. And I thought it was kind of interesting that a Patriots coach that went against a Bills linebacker and a Dolphins linebacker was able to generate success. And I don't think that's coincidental. I think they know the linebackers a little bit better and go to them a little bit as the game went on.
Yeah, between Knight and Baker, they accounted for a majority of the receiving yards that the team gave up. So it was clear they were targeting them. And when you look at PFF, Jerome Baker's coverage grade, it suffered because of it, a 29.3, and Tyrese Knight 41.3, and they were the low players on the team in terms of coverage grades.
Yeah, well, we'll talk some more about those folks. Seeing as I have like 15 more minutes of throat left, let's hit that whammy. And thank you all for bearing with me. It is what it is. We're going live, and we're not going to stop. All right, so in number 2, it's Seattle at our own 36-yard line. It's a 10-7 ball game. Quarter 2, 9:51 to go, and it's a 3rd and 4. So you got Geno in shotgun. You got Sharps offset, and you got Trips bunch. So I'll bring that on screen now. So that's the scenario. You can see it there. Hopefully you're watching it on YouTube, especially this episode because of my voice. But circled up top, you've got JSN, Lockett, and Fant, and that means Metcalf is close on screen, isolated for us. Do you remember what happens on this play, Brandon?
There were so many similar plays like this one that this one doesn't stand out to me.
Yeah. Very cool that you said that, by the way. And I'll go through this. And the biggest thing about why this is an in, and there's a really cool in, we'll get to it. Why this is great is because the last 2 years, we'd be like, can we just get some easy 3rd down conversions? Can we get easy 3rd down conversions? We had really good seats, but you can't see everything live. It's just more difficult. On the rewatch, I was like, oh, there was a lot of things schemed open. So on this play, Lockett crashes. He's the one circled on screen. He's just kind of doing a diagonal. And he basically takes out 2 dudes, 1 stone, and as JSN just goes to just towards the sideline and towards the sticks. And I'll just cycle through. The coolest part of this is Lockett is such like he's the pageantry. He knows how to do this on the DPIs, and he runs into the Patriot, which in many ways could be offensive interference, like a pick play. But then he does the flop, and you can see on screen how much separation he provides. Ball's in the air. JSN's already at the sticks because nobody's there. He actually turns upfield, and this play ends up on the Patriots' 45-yard line. Awesome play. Awesome scheme, and expertly sold by number 16, Brandon.
Yeah, I believe I remember this one now because JSN cuts it upfield and then he turns inside, and that helps him pick up quite a few extra yards. And nice to. I don't want to highlight Tyler too much because I feel like after a game like this, he's going to get on the radar of our officials, and they're going to recognize that maybe he got away with some calls. He helped us get some calls in a couple different situations, one in the end zone. This one, they didn't throw the flag, but he's definitely making it known that he's willing to take a dive and get some points for the team. I want to call out Joshua Smith, who says, hey, I was one of the Rainier guys from the game yesterday. Great to meet all the other 12s from around the country. Go Hawks. And yes, Joshua and his buddy, they hold 18 pack 18 packs of Rainier beer out from Seattle, and we're handing some out in the parking lot. And what a cool idea to bring hometown beer with you to road games. It definitely sparks. Was that a 36 pack?
They had 2 18s.
2 18s. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I said.
Oh yeah, I didn't. Maybe it did. I clearly I can't hear and do math either. So. But it was so fun to meet them, and we met them the night previous at the Yard House near Fenway, and then we all hung out in the lot. And sure as heck, they're there with Rainier beers just to complete the look, right, and the vibe. So great job, Joshua, dude. Thank you for coming and hanging out now live as well. You dudes were awesome. So it was a pleasure to meet y'all as well. So which is sweet. All right, so Lockett takes the flop. We get some easy conversions. And like you said, Brandon, we did stuff like that a lot. Now, it wasn't other times, it didn't need a Lockett flop, but we were able to scheme the middle of the field and the edges open a lot, almost on demand. And that's impressive. It's deserving of the in. And let's keep on moseying to the next app. All right. Okay. So we had good seats. We were basically at the back of the end zone, about 11 rows up. And so for one of the plays, which I'll put on screen here, if you're watching this on screen, you see where the Seahawkers podcast logo is. Envision an invisible line, just keep on going that way, and you can hit our seats. We're kind of over there, right? So this is under center, which we didn't do all that much. You can see Geno's in the center, Sharps deep in the backfield, and you got a little motion, I think Bobo going to the top. They're on the right hash over there. And the thing is, like, hey, I think Charbonnet actually on the rewatch played a valuable game, especially, I'll tell you when, fourth quarter and overtime. He stepped up the most he possibly could. This is not an out so much as is the difference between a canine play and a Charbonnet play. So Brandon, on this one, I remember leaning over to either you or Adam being like, oh, dude, canine would have, and I won't give it away. But do you remember this play when we were kind of close to it?
Yeah, I remember you saying that this was one that K9 would have been able to bounce outside and maybe pick up some significant yards.
Yeah, we had a great, and like I said, an unbelievable angle at this play. So Charbonnet's getting it right there. And first of all, there's just so much room. There's 10 Patriots right in screen right now. So whatever, there's some free safety that's not on screen. Fine. The linebacker or safety that's highlighted or with the arrow, he pinches in, and you'll see that in the next screen. And Charbonnet just kind of plunges, 2 yards into the muck. There's so much room. And it's just that thing that if this was K9, man, I'm not saying it's a 90-yard touchdown because I don't know where that safety is. I'm just telling you that this is a big, big gain. So when I bring this up because it's like when we're getting mad that we can't run the ball and then we're not having the success that we want to have success with, I think we have to understand the personnel to hit this play is not on the field. He's got the oblique. It's K9. The one big thing I'll say is later in the game, very similar play, and Charbonnet busted it outside and got 9 yards.
Yeah.
It's probably what he can do versus, let's say, 90. But even in game, Charbonnet learned. So this is me turning it out into an in. But when we get K9 back, this kind of play is going to hit. So it's like, don't worry. And even Charbonnet really picked it up late.
Yeah, and that was nice to see. I guess I would have liked to see it a little bit, a little bit more during the game. The thing about it is that I just want our offensive line to be more physical than their defensive line. So if I can turn an out that's turned into an in back to an out, I would say I just want to see better run blocking from our interior offensive linemen. We brought in Connor Williams. We've got big Anthony Bradford, who should be able to really push guys around. We've got a veteran in Laken Tomlinson, Charles Cross. He had those outstanding run blocking grades in week 1, and we saw so much from him. So it felt like this team should have been able to be a little bit more physical. I would have liked to see more of those under center type runs, and most of them were shotgun type runs. And I think that maybe Charbonnet would excel more with that downfield style with Geno under center.
Totally right. 100% right. So it'd be kind of cool if Grubb could adjust to the personnel as opposed to us saying, well, let's just wait for K9 for the same type of play, right?
Right.
And under center, motioning our tight ends so they become de facto fullbacks, whether that's Barner or Brady Russell. I do want to see more of that. My suspicion is that we're not going to see K9 for one more week. That's my guess. With Miami dinged up, it's an oblique. It's kind of like, well, why rush him back, right? It's a sensitive area of the body. So I think let's just see how it progresses for one week after this. But again, I just want to give some love that at the end of the game, fourth quarter, when we needed it, Charbonnet made some really cool plays, which is good. And I know there was a call earlier for a block. I think I'll leave it there because I think when we hit the front of the flock section, I think some folks were giving Sharps his flowers there too. So,
Yeah.
all right, I got about 10 minutes of this voice. Let's keep it on. Let's hit that whammy. Okay. So last of the ins, and we talked about linebacker earlier. And I want to kind of pull something up here, Brandon. This is kind of fun. This is, I mean, look at the score, right? It's 20-17, 5:20 or so left in the game. The ball's on our own 23-yard line. It's 2nd and 8. At this moment, it's like, whoa, we're in a lot of danger of losing this game. Here, I'll just cycle through real quick because I think the next screen kind of says it all. It's a handoff to Stevenson. Brissett's under center. And Stevenson has like one of these classic cutback lanes. And he is a cutback back. And, you know, Maffe's way upfield. That's okay. Got dudes getting turned inside out on the interior line. He's clearly got a lane there. And it's 2nd and 8. These are types of plays all game long. 4 yards, 6 yards, 8 yards. And him and Gibson compiled in like 180 plus yards on the ground. The exact recipe we talked about on the What If show of how they can beat us. In that pile, you can't even see who the dude is yet, but I circled an area. Any guess as to who's going to emerge from that cave in there to make a play?
Ooh, there were 2 guys I seem to remember having impactful plays on this drive, and I'm between Julian Love and Tyrese Knight, and I'm going to say Knight.
Oh my gosh, you're so good. All right. So cycling it forward and just to hit it back again, right? So this is where it's at, like a half second before this. He is engaged with a guard who's trying to get to a second level, or really Knight's crashing into his level. But he successfully bounces off and gets Stevenson here, and they wrap him up for like only a 2-yard gain. So this is a play that looks like they might be in 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, or a first down, which could then you start getting into bleed out the clock territory, which is really bad, right? With that, it's now 3rd and 6, and just to hit the forward button, we have this accession of the Murphy with the Leo sack, and of course, Brandon, bottom right. What do we got there?
That is Mr. Julian Love.
Yeah, coming through with the block field goal. And that was amazing as well. Any things you remember about, the feeling going into this sequence in the stands?
Well, this in particular, it did feel like one of those game-killing drives because, I mean, at this point, after we failed to make that 4th down conversion on a 4th and 2, the offense wasn't able to get anything done. The Patriots scored the go-ahead points and were up 20, and it felt like we weren't going to be able to stop them on the ground, running the ball, with a short pass. Like they were finding ways to move the football consistently in the second half. And so, yeah, it wasn't until the blocked field goal that it felt like some of that momentum finally shifted. Yeah.
And, I like to look at sometimes the play before the big play, and that's exactly what this is. This second late by Tyrese to contain it to a 3rd and 6,
right,
when it doesn't look right now like it's only going to be a 2-yard run, given what the history was that day. And then we get the big breakthrough with the rookie and Leo, and then we get Julian Love sliding over to the other side, and he said it was a hunch, and he kind of gets skinny, flops through, and just gets his mitt on there, right? And of course, Beyond changes the entire game. Really, really cool. So any other parts about Tyrese or the linebackers or anything else you want to say about how the defense may be adjusted?
No, I think we pretty well covered it. We probably could have been a little bit rougher on the defense, but overall, they were able to get the win. They were able to. It was kind of a nice complementary game in terms of when the offense was struggling, the defense kind of was able to find just enough plays. And when others are struggling, special teams was able to make just enough plays.
Yeah.
We had a special teams mishap that was almost a mishap, a disaster, but everybody pulled their weight and we squeaked one out on the road.
that punch you're talking about too, again, that was like just angling kind of right at our faces, right? And that one was wobbly and had like it was still spiraling, but not a good spiral. It was all really had no like true center to it. And then Nehemiah Pritchett gets kind of blocked in and loses his balance and almost takes out D Williams at the moment of contact. And it was a big like from all the Seahawks fans that were in that corner of the end zone because we had a really good view of it. So, but nicely said there, Brandon. It wasn't a perfect game by any means, and we still have an out to get to, but they did pick each other up, and there was a lot of adjustments. There was a lot of moments where, hey, if this isn't going to work, let's get to the next thing, and I think that's a reason for celebration. Besides the dub, of course, as well. All right, so we have one more out. It'll be a quick one, I promise. Let's hit it. Okay. All right. I promised it'll be quick, and it will be quick. I'll put it on screen here. This is the drive right after. Right? We get the Julian Love block. Geno is in absolute cook mode. I mean, everything he's doing, booting, little arm angle changes, darts over the middle, even getting through another drop, I think, on this drive too. But he is just on fire at this point. And again, they're coming right at us like, all right, this is the drive. Probably going to win the game on this drive. Again, it's all about momentum. People that say momentum doesn't exist in life and sports, I'm not going to see it the way you see it. I'm never going to see it that way. This is 1st and 10, a little out, 7 yards downfield to Fant. He's got room to run to, Brandon. He catches this. He's probably getting tackled or pushed out of bounds, the 22-yard line with, you can see how much time will be left and a fresh set of downs. He just flat out drops it. There was at least 5 drops on the day. Fant has been less than dynamic. Got to come down with this. Huge part of the game. Going to wear the out. And that's all I got to say about that. How about you?
Fant had another drop in this game that it wasn't as critical of a time, but this one in particular, just because Geno was so on point throughout the day, it makes it so much easier to be critical about the drops. I thought just in terms of ones that I would have liked to have had back, it's not even necessarily this one. JSN had one that was like on a 1st and 20 after a holding call. Mm-hmm. And it that was more unexpected, maybe just because I expect JSN to catch those even more so than but a pass that hits you in the hands, you got to catch it.
DK had 2, and the thing is too, there's also huge volume, right? There's a large volume there, so with more volume, more chances to not complete a pass. In the hotel room, we know that Geno was 75% completion rate, 33 of 44. And if we're like, all right, if they dropped 1 or 2 of them, but caught the other ones they should have caught, he was upwards of like 85%, which is just insane. It's insane for flag football. It's just incredible. And on the rewatch itself, that was the one thing, like back in the hotel room, we saw the game from the angle we had. We're like, okay, obviously Geno played well, but all we saw kind of on Twitter and elsewhere was like, holy crap, this was an all-pro, maybe the best performance from Geno we've seen so far. And I was like, oh, okay, I need to rewatch it. And then when you do, it is some mastery, man. It's some beautifulness. Any particular plays from Geno that stuck out to you the first time or second time through?
Oh gosh, well, I have one play with Geno Smith that I know I want to get to in my brand in, but nice. I think that the one for Geno that really stood out was there was a deep throw over the middle. I want to say it was around 15 to 18 yards, had 3 different Patriots defenders on it, and Geno threaded it right in there. And I think it was JSN probably who was on the receiving end as well on that play. And that one was probably the one that stood out to me as the strongest throw.
That was a great throw. I know the one you're talking about, and that's the one that I think Cal Lively earlier was saying that Sharps needs an in for his blocking.
Gotcha.
He had come off his left hip, came all the way across and picked up a blitzer last second, and then Geno kind of scooched left and fired the ball. Actually looked, who did that a ton in their career? Tom Brady. Tom Brady, like all the time, would just whatever, somebody would pick up the blitz because they were always good at that and sound, and he would just kind of shuffle, and fire a dart 12 to 18 yards downfield, and it's like Welker or someone like that moving the chains, Amendola, Gronk, et cetera, et cetera. So, for saying that he looked like Tom Brady during the day with the completions percentage that he had, while the Patriots are trying to troll us for the Super Bowl and all that, Geno really, really had a masterful time out there. All right. So those are the ins, those are the outs. But of course, we know the one rule: we win, we start with an in. But Brandon, when we win, we also have the brand in. You teased it earlier. It's your time to shine. Tell me about a play that just bowled you over, knocked your socks off, and you're still thrilled about.
Just want to call out Nate Schutz in the chat asking me what jersey I'm wearing. No, it's not Sidney Rice. It is not, what was the other guess? It's Freddie Swain. No, he is correct. It is Kason Williams.
And for the folks that have been listening for quite a while, what is that now? 5 years, plus. And, of course, the flagship show started 11 years ago, but the Kason Williams love and crush that happened a couple of years ago. There's a great story there. So I say go back in the archives and find the preseason when Kason Williams was the darling.
Yeah, that might be a tough one to find, but it is there. And yeah, I will tell that story anytime. It's a fun story to tell on the road too when I do wear this jersey out. So my brand in this week is for you gave him an out. I'm bringing him back on the inside of the ledger. It is Mr. Noah Fant. And if you go back, rewatch that deep touchdown pass to DK Metcalf, and you have Noah Fant coming in motion from the top of the screen, and he comes down. The whole offensive line blocks down to the right side, and it leaves Noah Fant one-on-one with Keon White of the Patriots. And the way that he squares up White, it gives Geno just enough time to deliver that pass to a wide open DK Metcalf. It was one of the better Noah Fant plays on the day, and on a day where I maybe predicted that we would see him in the out column. I did want to recognize that that was a huge block that Noah Fant came up with on perhaps their best pass rusher.
It's kind of why I love this show, right? We all watch the game. There's all these big moments. There is the DK touchdown, but it's this thing inside the thing where the dude just wore the out, and now you're like, you know what? But on this play, he did it and did it really well against their most disruptive guy, their second-year defensive tackle from Georgia Tech, who had another 1.5 sacks and is awesome. That's number 99 out there. That was just causing all sorts of havoc. And we talked about Tyrese Knight, not exactly perfect, but in a huge moment, huge play, and he comes through, right? And he's a rookie out there. So kind of why I adore 3 and 3 out. Brandon, great Brandon as always.
And I mean, the other cool part about it is that Charles Cross blocked down, and I don't know if they were expecting another defender to come in like a late blitzer from the linebacking core, but Cross ends up not blocking anybody at all. And Keon White's somebody that maybe you could use a little bit of help with on Noah Fant, but no, it was Fant that had it covered.
He did, and we didn't mention Cross at all in this episode so far. Really cool, though, that he graded out quite well again, which is cool. So 2 weeks in a row, Cross often on an island out there because we got to really support the right-hand side until we get A back, or at least till we get Fant back. We didn't mention Stone Forsythe. He played pretty well. So, just dudes stepping up. But it's nice to see from me, Brandon, that 2 weeks in a row, Charles Cross posted some really, really good numbers. First week was like phenomenal, but week 2 was like still quite solid left tackle play from that dude.
Absolutely. So, yeah. What do we got more? Well, we got an MVC to get to, Clinton. Is your voice going to hold up long enough to be able to deliver the MVC trophy? Did you put out so much text that will go on this trophy that your voice will fall out halfway through?
Oh, inquiring minds want to know. So we'll find out in just a tick. And I know we have brand new listeners that are on with us right now, like Joshua, the Rainier guy, who we love. And you've never seen 3 and 3 out and know that's one of our shows. So the MVC stands for the most valuable cranny. We have a 3D printer that sits in Montana. We print a trophy. You'll see it in a second. We ship it up to the VMAC and we celebrate only during wins because winners get sprinkles. And Brandon, always got to check in after week 1, 3D printer status. How's it doing?
Well, as long as we keep winning, this
Mhm.
3D printer is going to keep firing. So
Ooh, I
I
like that.
generally, when it sits for a little bit, that's when you have to worry.
Yeah.
So, hey, if I just call out to the Seahawks, if you want this 3D printer to keep on working, keep on winning, and you don't have to worry about it.
I love it. Let's keep on winning. We got 2 in a row. So we'll just hit the drum roll, please. And I know there's a certain member of our Discord who's going to be thrilled. I know she is with us live as well. I know she's going to be thrilled. Her man gets the MVC. It's Tyler Lockett, wide receiver number 16, for using his real estate sales prowess, enacting the Lockett flop it to spring JSN for a big gain. And look at him there. That's his future self closing another deal in Seattle. Of course, with the MVC in hand, the very real, very 3D printed trophy that'll be headed to the VMAC.
I just like that you already had a photo of him holding up the trophy that you could share for our flock gathered today watching the show.
Listen, we all live in waves, right? There is no past. There is no future. There's only the present. And this, I'm making this happen. This is going to be real. And we know Tyler will celebrate this. He loves all the celebrations like this. So that's going to be printed out to him and shipped. And I know that car in there she is. I knew she'd chime in as soon as she possibly could. For those that don't know, I don't care if I have no voice. Car is a stellar member of the flock, always hanging out in our Discord. Tyler is her number one by a long shot. Like defends and loves him, and we all get it. We love Car for it. And when I created this, it kind of came to me. I was like, man, she's gonna absolutely love this. Brandon, she hangs out in the Discord a lot. If folks want to hang in the Discord with cool people like Car, what should they do?
Yeah, they can go to getintheflock.com. You can become a member of the flock for $3 and above. And yeah, gives you access to our Discord group, and $12 and above gets you into our Facebook Ring of Honor group where we chat, there too. So whether it's in Discord, whether it's on Facebook, getintheflock.com. We'd love to have you join us. And you can also, if you want to become a free member, just to get the emails on when shows come out, where to find shows like For the Hawkra, so you can subscribe there. Getintheflock.com has all of it there as well. And yeah, free members get all the emails.
Love it. Keeps it super simple. And then for those that want to find everything that we do, YouTube's going to be is a great place as well. YouTube.com/Seahawkers podcast. Brandon mentioned at the top, we stormed past 4,500. We are now already marching to 5K. So hey, share it with 12s. And help us get there. What else can we say? It's free and it's a great way to support the show. All right. So now we have our section from the flock. Brandon, I'm like the weatherman. It doesn't matter what's happening up here because it doesn't matter because what's happening right here in the heart is that I am full of the Hawkra. However, bud, I'm going to need you to kick this off and maybe take a lot of these.
I will do the best I can. I know you've been going strong here for a while. We've got our members of the flock chiming in with the ins, with the outs, and I'm going to start out with the folks right here on YouTube. Ryan Ball giving the in to Ryan Grubb, doing better than I thought he would overall in his first year in the NFL. Then we drop into Chris Smokehawk with the in to D. Williams, bouncing back this game. We got Nate Schutz. My in was Sharbs, somersaulting for the first in overtime. My out goes to Pritchett for running into Williams during the kickoff.
That kind of backwards somersault jam that Sharbs did, that was pretty darn cool, man. That was actually a really, really cool moment for him. So I love it. Okay, so over to the Discord we go, and we have 12th man records. His name is Jason Bonner, great guy. He says out linebackers leaving their coverage on Hunter Henry, resulting in some completions for Brissett. We covered that with Baker, but that wasn't the only time that we saw that.
And out from Car saying growing pains. I don't want to wait for that elite Super Bowl winning defense. Let's give it, 4 or 5 games. It took the Ravens a few games to kind of work into it. And we may end up needing some more talent as well on the defensive side. but it could take some time. But I think we can all see, well, shoot, just in the fact that I think they've given up on the low end of the 300s in back-to-back weeks.
Yeah.
And the fact that our defense has not given up that few yards in years, it's already off to a really good start.
Yeah. And now we got Skylar Thompson. So let's keep the party going, right? So we got, I like to touch my Bobo in the Discord, and I'll pick one of the outs. He says out most of the third quarter. That was deflating, up 17-13. And then we get stuffed on 4th and 1. And then the Patriots figured out that they could run the ball on us. Yeah. Third quarter really changed things. Yeah. Bad vibes in that third quarter, Brandon.
Yeah, the entire third quarter. I'd want to forget that quarter for sure.
Yeah, it could kick rocks, yeah.
Out to every defensive play call when New England called the play for Henry, and out to rushing defense. But I like to touch my Bobo, giving the ends to one Mr. Bobo for likely a catch that he had during the game.
Yeah.
JSN, pick anything he did, and an into overtime Charbonnet.
Yeah. It was great. It was a good mix there for sure. And we got Spring mixing. Well, he had a problem with his website kicking him off. Sorry about that, bud. I don't know what to tell you, but hopefully next time it's better for you. But we're happy you're hanging out. We got Josh DeHuman, whose birthday it was, I think, today. So happy birthday, Josh. I think I saw that in Discord. And he went to the zoo with his wife and new kid. So hope that was fun. But this is why I love From the Flock in Michael Dixon with his excellent punting, putting the team in great position. And it's kind of cool being live and being in like lower bowl and then seeing some of the punts that these dudes boom. Dixon did an awesome job, Brandon.
I'll take a few from here to give you a little bit of a break. We got Josh DeHuman, good clock management by the coaching staff of the Seahawks. What a concept. It is amazing to be able to see all of the play calls come in on time, not having to take a few unnecessary timeouts throughout the team or throughout the game. And yeah, very nice to see. Also, something not nice to see, Bradford penalties, killing 2 drives. But Bradford ended up being the better of the 2 options. At guard, Haynes came in for some snaps, did not do well. And Bradford did come back in and finish out the game. Delwin with the end to the first half, out. Way too sloppy in the second half. Drop passes, penalties, missed tackles. Yes, the third quarter we want to forget. And the end to the blocked field goal.
Yeah, back to Jason Bonner. And usually, folks might throw in 2 or 3 or 4. But if it's something unique and distinct, I do want to call it out. We have not said this guy's name yet. He says in to Hall on the last drive in the 4th. I think he had just like a really good bull rush and just pushed the guy right back into Brissett's lap at one point. So Hall showed out as well. And again, for me, Brandon, it's like, let's get Nwosu back in there because Draymond, he had 1 TFL. It's okay. But man, I think once we get Nwosu to bounce that out with Hall as a spell and Mafe as the regular, we're going to be in a really cool spot.
Got JSN Jiggy with it. Lisa saying in, not effing around and being cute in overtime and just winning. Now, it did get a little bit interesting, though. Speaking of, at the end of the game in the fourth quarter, Clinton, with about 16 seconds left and a timeout, I was a little frustrated that they didn't do a little something to, at least try and catch the defense off guard. The defense takes a timeout, then we take a timeout, and then we just decide to kneel the ball. And that part was a little bit frustrating, but especially when they end up winning the coin toss.
Yeah. The piece for me on the 4th and 1, or maybe 4th and 1.5, where we did kick the field goal to tie it, I was like, we can win the game right here. Let's go win the game. And we didn't. I think maybe the very end there with the 16 seconds, it was Pete's 73rd birthday. And it was just a little ghost of Pete Carroll getting back to us, right? We love Pete. It's a joke, people. But maybe it was just that. And we got Frost back in the Discord saying in clutch, Geno Smith delivers. The haters are in shambles. Love that.
Good day for Geno for sure. And Car Lockett is the best there is at getting defensive pass interference flags. Part of why we won the game and the end. So there we go. Car's in, ends up being the MVC.
Skipping down to Marlon. Marlon says, out, can't be dropping the balls, not once, but twice. I think that might be DK that auto-corrected to can't. So I think that's what it is. But then he calls out in Byron with the first sack. And as we showed earlier, not just the first sack, but a first sack at a really, really important time. Because yes, the next play is Julian Love blocking it. We back between Tyrese Knight making the tackle and then backing them up again. It went from like a 40-yarder to the 48-yarder. And guess what? Kickers got to do different things when it's that much longer. And maybe that 8 yards made the difference and got us that block.
Yeah, I'd like to think that it absolutely made a difference. We got Northwest Gambit with the out, crucial catches being dropped by receivers and the tight ends, but an in, winning in Foxborough when they brought in the Super Bowl 49 squad, rub it in our faces. Screw the Patriots.
For sure. We got Lisa back in the Discord, JSN Jiggy with it, saying, oh, if I forgot my biggest in this week. Up yours, Prisco, because I think Pete Prisco, what did he do this week? Did he pick us to lose?
I believe he picked the Patriots to win this week.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Saban Sent Studio with the Rams taking the tank strategy. Fun to see them get walloped by the Cardinals. Out of the Cardinals looking good? That is a question I think we need the answer to. And an end to the emergence of JSN and Derek Hall starting to look real.
Awesome. We got a few more, and they are important to us. We press on. We got Casey Hawk, who you saw earlier. He was there with his son at the game. He was in one of the photos. He says, Tyrese Knight didn't play perfect, but wasn't a huge liability when he was pressed into service, which is cool. And then he says, with his son at the game, that combination of Casey Hawk and his son are 3-0 and they travel. So Brandon, I mean, at this point, don't we need a GoFundMe? Should this be an every week thing? Shouldn't they be at every game? 3 times is beyond coincidence. Yes.
Right. I thought it was good. Just the fact that you, me, Wilson, and Adam are now undefeated as a foursome. Yes. But maybe it was Casey Hawk and his son that helped get us there too. Maybe we all just need to travel with the team.
At this point, I'm pretty much ready to be a Seahawks gypsy. I'm in, dude. I want
it. If your voice can handle it.
It can't, but that's fine.
We got Smokehawk saying the defense stepping up in overtime when we needed it. We've got Jim giving the end to DK's route chart, and he's making catches all over the field.
And we got one last one, which we always reserve when we win, to Hawk Van Dyke, our buddy Dave Bloomquist over in the UK. He is, of course, the star of Starstruck by London, a great, great YouTube channel that you should check out. He says, in a fantastic kick. I can't read that. What do we got, Brandon? It's a little too small for my eyes.
A fantastic kick block from Jay Love that mitigated a questionable call of going for it instead of kicking a field goal, and an out. The only time we've lost to the Patriots since 2008 was the game that shall not be named, but it is gleefully highlighted every time we play these bums.
Yes, we kind of own them besides that one, which is the way it is. What was your impression, Brandon, of the Boston fans in general, the city, the fans? What were your takeaways?
Yeah, the ones that were in our area, we all got along with pretty well. And walking to the stadium, it was, you didn't get hassled by the Boston fans too much. Now, I think maybe some of that has to do with their expectations now that Tom Brady has left, and maybe they've tamed down a little bit since like Bloomy was there. Yeah. But yeah, we had a good time overall. Everybody was nice. I need folks to help look out to see if Adam ended up making it into the Boston Herald. He was interviewed in the parking lot as we were walking to the game. So yeah, if you see Adam's name in one of the articles there in the Boston Herald, definitely let us know.
Yeah, please do point it out. And again, just some love to the Boston Seahawks fans, their Facebook group, the whole troop we rode down the bus with, everybody we got to meet. Oh, I want to give some love to Jacob also, standing in line for the bathroom, talking to Jacob. He's like, I know you guys. I love you guys. I'm like, this is amazing. So it's just super cool. And you know what's super cool, Brandon? Super cool is being 2-0. We looked at the schedule. We got tougher games ahead. Now the Pats might end up being a pretty good team. The Broncos will not be. The Pats may be. But when the schedule came out, we're like, we need the first 2 wins. It's just kind of, we have to have these. And guess what? It wasn't always pretty. It wasn't always roses, but we got the first 2 W's, and now we caught a bit of a break. Now we got the Tua-less Dolphins coming cross country, the longest flight there is in the NFL currently. And so a Skylar Thompson-led team, Detroit, who lost to the Buccaneers kind of surprisingly, and then the New York Giants. So we're through the first 2. And what are your expectations as the Dolphins got to lick their wounds and come all the way cross country to Seattle? What do you think happens?
Yeah, this team's got to keep on rolling, especially with a young quarterback behind center. Now, it's still going to be interesting. A lot of speed with Tyreek Hill. We got to see what Rick Woolen can do matched up against Hill. That's going to be kind of fun. But Witherspoon out there too. A really good receiving core, but with Tua out there, it's going to be tough. I think a lot tougher for them. They're more of a finesse running team, so I would expect them to be able to stop the run a little bit better than a team like the Patriots and a back like Ramondre Stevenson. But yeah, we saw when they got Gibson in there as the change of pace guy, it was pretty tough. So yeah, we'll have to see the run game step up against this Patriots team. But man, oh man, if Geno can keep it up with what he was able to do these past 2 games, then I don't think it much matters.
Yeah, I think that might be the easiest path we can have against these these okay teams. It's just let Geno go eat. Let him just keep on doing what he's doing. Right, find the easy ones, and then when he has to slice and dice, he kind of did it all. It was a really genius performance by Geno. And the team is still growing into who they're going to be, which is super exciting. So, Brandon, my voice is clearly shot. We pulled this off for an hour, which is clearly impressive. And our Hawks are 2-0, coming back home. I'm going to get more tea with some honey, then a little bit of lemon. And I think with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.